No, anyway,
Star Meher Baba ki jai.
go ahead. Okay,
Yeah,
let me read it.
Ji. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Kama.
All right. Okay, three of Meher Baba's favorite couplets of Hafiz, a mystical Persian poet. As I add on, this was what Baba gave before he dropped his body in his room in Merazat. He asked the mandali to bring the board, and that's what we see in his bedroom. So he said, from what I understand, that you focus on these three couplets, that would be something similar to good thoughts, good words, good deeds, Okay. Befitting a fortunate slave, carry out every command of the master without asking any question of why and what. About what you hear from the master,
Lost you, Mama.
Yeah. Kama, are you there? Lost you. Okay, let me reread all three. I think it's a network issue on his side.
Okay.
So the three couplets are befitting a fortunate slave, carry out every command of the master without any question of why and what. Second one, about what you hear from the master, never say it is wrong, because, my dear, the fault lies in your own incapacity to understand him. The third one, I am slave of the master who has released me from ignorance. Whatever my master does is of the highest benefit to all concerned. Hafiz. Avtar Meher
Regarding
Baba ki.
yes,
Yeah.
regarding this couplet, I was thinking beforehand, just because you had already posted it. The first one is in red color. So this is the initiation level where you are naive to the master. So somebody is telling you, befitting a favorite slave. So you have become a favorite slave of the master. Carry out every command of the master without any question of why and what. So that's the first level of the path or initiation sort of. And in between, on the way, the color has changed to green. There is some change in the disciple, probably, but still doubts are lingering. So then you are advised about what you hear from the master. Never say it is wrong, because, my dear, the fault lies in your own incapacity to understand him. So the third is the blue color of the flag, if you remember, of Meher Baba flag. And that is the ultimate color, what we are supposed to achieve, or things like that. So here the slave has become realized partly or so. So I am the slave of the master. He is talking. So it's not say prompting from somebody. I am slave of the master who has released me from ignorance. Whatever my master does is of the highest benefit to all concerned. So this is the level of surrender where he has uh, given up everything for the master and accepted him totally. So that's how saw these couplets. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. I'm not sure if the colors had a significance when Sunilji
No.
put it together, but good interpretation. Animal, I mean, the lowest form is red, yes, and the highest form is blue. So in that sense, it could be a journey from the beginning in the path to the third stage. And I think that's a good observation on the voice. The first two are passive voice, and the third one is active voice. So the slave finally talks in the third stage.
Yes.
Very good.
Good
Okay.
coincidence.
Jai Baba, just to add to what Doctor said, It's an interesting observation because when we compiled this, that is Sunil and I took the three basic colors, okay, red, green, and blue, because when you mix and match all the different these three basic colors, that is one thing. But Mama's interpretation is good because the first line, befitting a fortunate slave. So this is the beginning of the journey when you have, let's say, going from material freedom to spiritual freedom. You're going transitioning from becoming spiritual, and you have the grace of a master. And then once you have the grace of the master, now you have to be obedient. Love, obedience, surrender, sacrifice. So this is what he's saying. Whatever you hear from the master, you have to understand and do what he says. And then in the third is basically kind of an enlightenment. You are already on the journey, whether you call it involution or whatever, that you are now released from ignorance. And so this is the surrender part. So you might say the first one is like God is infinite love, the final chapter in discourses, where in the gross body you are basically, you're just starting in the process, and then in the subtle body there is obedience, right? And then in the mental body, mental sphere, there is complete surrender. Only in the seventh plane union happens. So in the fifth and sixth plane is where you are surrendering, completely. So the third one is kind of related to that. In addition, what I also wanted to say was, I think I mentioned this earlier, like about less than a year ago. I've been reading this since 2009. Whenever I used to go to Baba's cabin, I suddenly I thought that it was very impersonal. So to make it personal, wherever the word I comes or me comes or befitting a fortunate slave, karma, and then whenever the word master comes, I decided to take Meher Baba's name. So it becomes like a personal, communication with the divine beloved. Hey, Baba.
Thank
Befitting
you.
a fortunate myself, carry out the command of Baba without any question of why and what. About what you hear from Baba, never say it is wrong, because, my dear, the fault lies in my own incapacity to understand him. Karthik, I am slave of Baba, who has released me from ignorance. Wherever Baba, whatever Baba does is of the highest benefit to all concerned. Interesting. So there's always new ways of looking at and doing things. And thanks for sharing. Okay, so let's get to the focus of today. We are in session number 49, and on the physical book, we are in 141 of volume 3. And we start after the Daulat Singh episode that we were reading the last time. So, Ashokji, are you in a position to read?
Yeah.
Okay,
I,
so I thought we might like to read for some time. If you're okay, you can start.
Avtar Meher Baba Kijay. Baba demonstrates God speaks, circling with his finger the chart which details the 10 states of God. Baba began. All this, referring to the chart, is God, and God means God, infinite, begin, begin, beginningless, endless knowledge, power, and bliss. Whether knowingly or unknowingly, God is always God.
Actually, this is a very important statement.
Yes. Thanks for highlighting
Uh,
this.
yeah, so I think the knowingly and unknowingly is whether it's the conscious experience or the unconscious experience. That does not impact the state of God. And yeah, it's infinite, beginningless, endless, and yeah, infinite, beginningless, and endless of what? It's basically knowledge, power, and peace. So there is something that does not have a beginning, does not have an end, and is infinite. And what is that? That's knowledge, power, and bliss. And this happens both in conscious and unconscious state. Yeah. Yes,
It
sir.
is, can add. Then Baba traced his finger downwards from the second state and upwards to the eighth state and continued. In this chart, you will notice two stages, one of descent and other of sorry,
We'll
some
just see the states of
yeah,
God's state. This is what he's talking about. And states of God chart.
there's also
Baba E. Here is a footnote, yes.
66.
Yeah. Divine Team 90. Okay. So the reference is not to the 10 states of God chart. I think it is to this chart. This is the divine theme chart. Let's see which correlates better to the text. Baba says, or Baba is gesturing, Baba traced his finger downwards from the second state and upwards to the eighth state. So upward, second state, upwards to the eighth. Yeah, I think it's the divine theme, the colored one, this one. Let me get the whole thing. Yeah. Second state upwards to the eighth. Oh no. It's coming up to down, right?
So there has to be another chart.
Maybe this one. Maybe this one. Here you're starting second state upward to the. Okay, we don't know. Anyway, please continue the read. It's minor. It's one of these two charts. You can continue reading. Yeah.
The, the process of descent has 7 stages, as does that of ascent. In between these two stages is the state of stalemate. That is, there is the process of reincarnation in between that of evolution and involution. Baba also casually hinted that in these two stages, there is an important hint or clue in the fact that everything is based on the number 7. There is a spiritual significance of 7. Baba continued, the driving force behind the evolution of all forms is the urge of God to gain full consciousness, and the purpose for which consciousness is developed is to become fully self-conscious. Until the perfect form of a human being is evolved, the development of the consciousness of God continues growing automatically from the finite into the full consciousness of a human being. Once the consciousness begins to develop, it has to continue to develop until the end. There is no alternative. Thus, start thus starting with the next to nothing or the most finite consciousness in the lowest form of a stone, the scope of God's consciousness keeps increasing effortlessly along with the evolution of lower forms like those of stone, metal, vegetable, worm, fish, bird, and animal. The evolution of forms and the development of consciousness reach the zenith in the form and consciousness of a human being. The most finitely conscious God. Sorry, there's some noise.
Yeah. I think Norm, you have to mute your. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just read again. The most finitely conscious God in the form of a stone is the same God fully conscious in man. However, in spite of the perfect form and full consciousness in man, God's purpose remains unserved because instead of experiencing himself as God, he begins to experience the universe of gross forms, the vehicle of development of his consciousness. In other words, instead of being self-conscious, God becomes universe conscious. The stalemate lies in that men in the human form get 100% stuck with the impressions born of the evolution of forms for the development of consciousness, instead of being able to use consciousness for the purpose of knowing one's own self. I'll read this again once again. This is an important, according to me, it's important because the stalemate lies in that men in the human form get 100% stuck with the impressions born of the evolution of forms for the development of consciousness, instead of being able to use consciousness for the purpose of knowing one's own self.
So that's just to add to the importance of that. So in the lower forms, the consciousness is not able to go down the journey of trying to know the biggest self, right? So it's in its latent or in its lesser forms. And here the stalemate or the tragedy is for the first few births, though you have the capability to focus on higher things, you're focusing on lower things. Okay,
Basically,
please continue.
caught up in impressions.
Yes.
For example, let us liken the increasing of consciousness to one whose head is in a lower position and whose eyes are yet to open. The first, next to nothing, beginning of the development of consciousness is the beginning of the upward trend of the head with the thinnest slit of an opening between the lids of the eyes. Now, suppose I am God. Baba gestured and he began to actually demonstrate with his head lowered and his eyes closed. Although the beyond state is actually beyond the grasp of the finite human mind. I felt as if Baba's face, with an incredible tranquility about it, gave me a glimpse of how profound truths can be expressed so simply and so beautifully without saying a word through just gestures. Baba gradually lifted his head and very slowly began to open his eyes until he was looking straight ahead. Baba looked at the wall in front of him with eyes now wide open and then slowly began to direct his gaze upon himself. Thus, in a few moments, without saying a word, Baba had made us feel that the whole drama of creation was being played out before our eyes, and this was brought home to us in a very convincing manner.
If I may pause you, this is the exact sequence that I think all of us on the call right now were anyway on the call last Sunday. This is exactly where we are in God Speaks, and we are at stage 6. We will continue from there tomorrow. And in fact, I was talking offline with Mamaji that we need to probably create some sort of a table to express those stages between the dream of the smallest soul and the dream of God, right? It's a very important uh, interpretation. So maybe if I hope I get some time today to do that and have something which we can showcase tomorrow. If anybody has time and interest, please try to do that as well. Just go back to those 3 pages, read it, and create some sort of a visualization which helps us commit to memory and also go through the changes in the 7 phases between the two categories being the dream of God and the dream of man. Just wanted to share that. Yeah. Continue, Shruti.
Baba
Shruti?
continued.
Yeah.
For the sake of illustration, we have taken it for granted that I am God, and as such, I am always infinite, begin, beginningless, endless, all knowledge, all power, all bliss. But as I demonstrated when I had my eyes closed, I was in the beyond state, and in spite of my being God, I still did not know that I was that. I then began to open my eyes in order to see myself, gradually seeing more and more, until in 7 stages my eyes became fully open and I became capable of seeing myself. But instead, I could only see my own shadow before me, that is, the walls, windows, doors, etc. of the hall which Baba pointed to. This is the state of stalemate in which the eyes remain open, yet you do not see that for which they were opened, due to the impressions gathered on account of the growing shadows of myself in the course of the 7 stages of descent. The stalemate slowly begins to end when, with eyes open, I commence looking towards myself through 7 stages of ascent. And when I succeed in seeing myself fully, I see myself as God in the beyond state, where God is called.
Called? Anybody before I go further? Mahatma.
Paramatma, Allah,
Please
Almighty,
read it again one more time. Could you read it
God
again?
Yes, yes,
Almighty,
yes.
Yeah,
and so
sure,
on.
sure. So there's a request to read the whole paragraph again, please.
Yeah. I also thought of reading it again. Uh, the stalemate slowly begins to end when, with eyes open, I commence looking towards myself through 7 stages of ascent. And when I succeed in seeing myself fully, I see myself as God in the beyond state, where God is called Paramatma, Allah, Ahurmaz, God Almighty, and so on. You can highlight that if you want.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And it's so impressive that the statement comes in the next page, making you to
Yeah.
think.
Yes, yes.
In this state, God is conscious of his power, knowledge, bliss, light, beauty, etc. One who consciously experiences the beyond state naturally gains eternity, infinity, etc. And this is the I am God state. If from this state God does not come back to human consciousness, then he remains a mazub, a God merged soul.
I think for the first time we are using the term beauty also here. Baba has
Yes,
used
yes.
it.
Yeah. Even light, I mean,
Light.
maybe light we have used before, but yeah, light.
Light is partly made known to us by saying that illumination and other things.
Knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, but the beauty, I think, is the first time I am coming across. Okay.
True, true.
they're also using the word uh, eternity, infinity. So it's very profound. I'll just read it again. In this state, God is conscious of his power, knowledge, bliss, light, beauty, etc. One who consciously experiences the beyond state naturally gains eternity, infinity, etc. And this is the I am God state. If from the state God does not come back to human consciousness, then he remains a mazub, a God merged soul.
So it's a link to Masuk to say beyond state connection or identity. Okay. And one thing which I found in this, say, it refers to another chart also with the head down and body up, and then it becomes flat, and then you start crawling, and then get up and stand up with your head on top. So that chart also comes to our mind when we read through this. And the other point, what I understood here is the first 7 stages is the scientific genetic evolution, forms changing species to species, and the human form coming up. So from there onwards, there is no value or no addition or no functionality for the form. It is only the internal development for the form to realize itself. That is total Baba's field, where we are trying to go up the ladder in the path in the involution process. So these two are totally stark differences. That's why if we realize this, we our say importance being given to the form is going gradually lost, and then we realize that we have to grow internally and then forget about the form. Jai Baba.
So this is the rag doll that you are referring to.
Yes.
So you go through the stages, but again, we were talking about this last time, so I'm glad I got this really quickly. So if you remember, I had a question linked to this. If God is formless, then how do we reconcile with the fact that Baba has also said that the form of God is in the image of man? And what better proof and what better illustration where Baba has given credence to this with this. So this is something to think about. So is God in the beyond state formless? But if you have a form, is it in the state of is it in the image of man? Is something to think about. But that's
Yeah,
for all
Baba.
of us. Yeah.
So, to my thinking, God portion is complete 100% purity. So then that portion comes into the human form. And then we experience Baba or Krishna or Buddha and so on and so forth. So that essence, like, there's a place where the whole perfume is made, and then it is bottled in little things, right? So similarly, when God comes down, he is the miniature of that big form. So yeah, and if he comes in any other form, we cannot experience his wholeness, because in other animal forms or other evolutionary states, he's not able to,
No.
there's no nahi,
I,
kya bola?
I am with you. So I am not fighting that at all. Avatar is
I'm
only
also
going
not
to use
fighting.
human form.
I'm just saying जो
No,
मुझे
no, no.
समझ आ रहा है,
Avatar is
मुझे क्या
using.
समझ आ रहा है?
No, no.
Let her
Avatar is
finish. Wait,
using human form.
let her finish
Yeah.
first.
Sure. Go
Let
ahead.
her
Go
finish.
ahead. Go ahead.
So I feel that for Baba or the Almighty Creator to come down, he needs a certain type of a container, which is a human body. And that's how we experience him. So the essence is still same. He says that he's formless, he's this and that. But when he wants to come to our level, then body is the medium we get to experience. Human body is the medium we get to experience the Lord. Jai Baba. That's my understanding.
Yeah. So anybody wants to comment on that? I totally agree with that. I don't. I'm not questioning that at all. In the sense that the only form that God will take in as avatar is the human form. My question is more is more basic. So one of the attributes that we assign to God and is drilled into us is that God is formless. But there is also the interpretation Baba has given that the uh, God is in the image of man, and that's the diagram that Baba has given us through the ragdoll illustration which he did to the mandali. So, how does one understand or interpret that in the context of the statement, God is formless? Yeah, that's again, we are
No,
going away from
actually,
God is
today's
also
reading.
almighty. He is also almighty. So whether he goes into a rag doll or anything else, it's up to him,
uh,
Okay,
actually,
Java.
Karthik, I think if I can come in, we are
Sure, Sanjay.
kind of trying to analyze the basic premise of who am I. So from the
Mm-hmm.
formless, that the bubble that sprang and the first wave of consciousness emerged as who am I, the whim. We are talking that actually. So that has happened because it was a whim and the whole creation happened and everything is there. So he is going to bring back everybody, every soul that has become human consciousness back to its original state. And in that process, he takes the form of an avatar to push the humanity to that direction. It is as simple as that, I think.
Jay Baba, what my understanding is, based on what we are just discussing, if you have read God Speaks, the supplement part, I think in the supplement to the state of God God in state 2, there is a line which says that even the avatars and the Sadgurus will not be able to describe the most original state of God. So when you look at this whole creation and the different states of God, um, we know the second state of God is where Paramatma, the eternal avataric infinite consciousness. There is a line which says state of God state 1 and God state 2 are similar, except that state 1 of God is aspectless and state 2 of God is with aspects. Before the whim, when God wakes up and before the whim happens, both states are very similar, except for this different aspectless and aspect. Only when the whim happens, we have these three substates, right? Or two substates, which is state 2A, infinite unconsciousness, and state 2B, which is infinite consciousness, which immediately realizes itself as Paramatma and exists in the form of the eternal avataric infinite consciousness, which is the Nirguna Nirakar aspect. So after the infinite can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So after the infinite unconsciousness goes through the whole evolution from that drop soul, subatomic particle right up to the human form, what we see here is, the ultimate state is state 2C, Saguna Sakar, which is where basically all the 56 God realized souls exist, right? The Saguna Sakar. And then when they drop their body, they go back to the formless. So technically, the the body is just a medium, as somebody said. The human body is there for consciousness to liberate itself. This is the whole divine theme. It's a complete drama. We know that because it is in the divine dream of God. So the body is just a medium, and also in the human form, consciousness becomes full and complete, which is technically super consciousness, Maha Chaitanya. But that Maha Chaitanya is covered by a layer of sanskaras, which is what we are trying to spend initially, and then we unwind it with the grace of the Guru. Jai Baba.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. Yeah, you were saying something, Mamaji. Go ahead.
No, that was bringing different aspects together for a clarity of understanding. Thank you.
Yes. So let's get back to our reading. Dr. G, if you want to take a break, we can rotate. Anybody else wants to read? Maybe I'll read for a bit and then we can, the next person comment. Yeah. Thank you, Ashokji. Thank you for your reading.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye. Jai Baba.
Let's continue. So we were at the point where he explains what a madzub is. Now the other option. However, if he comes down, which is the second descent, then he becomes simultaneously conscious of evolution, reincarnation, the seven planes, and the seven in everything. This is the Kutub state, wherein God not only enjoys knowledge, power, bliss as infinitely as a perfect Madzub, but he can and does make use of the knowledge, power, bliss for the emancipation of all. So Kutub is perfect master or avatar. Kutub Irshad is avatar, right? Then continuing, but after passing through the 7 in 7 states, even God in the beyond state can never actually experience his own beyond state. That is God's original, beginningless and endless state. It is the state of God is, with power, bliss, knowledge, light, and everything, but without being conscious or unconscious, either infinitely or finitely of anything. Although God in the beyond state cannot experience the beyond state, he knows that originally he was unconscious and he cannot experience that state again because once real consciousness is gained, it is eternal and therefore there can never be unconsciousness again. Interesting and important point being made.
Yes.
So once real consciousness is gained, it is eternal and therefore can never be unconscious again. Right. So let's underline
Jai
this.
Baba, Jai Baba, Karthik.
Yeah.
What you can do is, I just went through the God Speaks. Go to page number 160 and start reading that part of state one of God and one or two paragraphs, 2 pages, because it will complement what you have just read.
160. Okay, not the supplement.
The different states of God.
Oh, okay. So it's before this.
It's before that.
Yeah, I'll come there. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Yes. State 1. Read the whole thing and state 2. Yeah.
So reading from God Speaks, page 160, state 1. God and the beyond state. This state of God is so transcendent that nothing can really be conceived of it. It is utterly pure and immaculate, and has no tinge of otherness. It is the hidden of all hidden knowledge and the internal of all internal realities. It is beyond all words, and so it cannot be adequately described. It is neither finite nor infinite, neither attributeless nor with attributes. In this domain, the wings of thought, inference, discrimination, and understanding are limp and useless. There's a Hafiz quote: Bi kial dar nagunjad, tu kial e kud maranjan, ji zahat buad mubara mavalab bihik suesh. He cannot be grasped by the mind. Therefore, do not exert yourself to understand him. He is free of all directions. Therefore, do not try to seek him anywhere. Meher Baba says that when one has realized this state of God, tries to describe it to others, this act results in a description not of the first, but of the second state of God, God in the beyond state. I repeat, Baba says that when one who has realized this state of God tries to describe it to others, this act results in a description not of the first, but of the second state of God, God in the beyond state. So even a God realized soul wrongly or apparently thinks he's expressing what is the beyond state, he will only end up describing Paramatma state, I mean the beyond state. I continue. It is the eternity of all eternity, Azl ul Azal, because no eternity can be conceived of to precede or to follow it. Here, all indications are blotted out. Munkata ul Isharat. Since no other thing exists that can be pointed out to or referred to, this pure essence, Zat ul Bhat, is not aware of anything, even of itself. This state has been referred to by the Sufis as Vara ul Vara, the beyond state of God. Vedanta calls it Paratpara Parabrahma. This is the state in which God is neither Nirguna, attributeless, nor Saguna, with attributes, neither Nirakar, formless, nor Sakar, with forms. Of all the principal 10 states of God, the first and most original state is the beyond state of God. When there were no other states of God in the beyond the beginning of the beginning, only the most original infinite state of God, that is, God is state, prevailed as the beyond state of God. In the infinitude of this beyond state of God, only the infinity of infinitude is manifest as the unbounded, absolute, infinite, divine vacuum. In all other states, attributes, and aspects of God, including infinite consciousness and infinite unconsciousness, are all latent as the nothing, big nothing, in that infinitude of the unbounded, absolute, infinite, divine vacuum as the everything. Everything also includes the nothing. Thus, the most original beyond state of God is that state where one can only say God is eternally. And that in this most original state, God is neither infinitely nor finitely conscious nor unconscious of self or of his own state of infinitude. In this state, God is also neither conscious nor unconscious of illusion or reality. It's a good reference. We'll anyway get to this, I think, in a few
You
weeks.
you also just
Read
read a
state
couple
two.
of paragraphs
State
of
two.
state two.
State two.
Nirbhaya.
State two. Yeah. So,
Couple of paragraphs, yeah.
yeah. State two. God in the beyond state. We have already stated that the beyond state of God can never be adequately described. God realized beings, when they try to describe the beyond state, succeed only in describing the beyond state of God, which is the Allah of Sufis, the Ahura Mazda of Zoroastrians, the Paramatma of Vedantis, God, the Father of Christians, and the Oversoul of some philosophers. The same point that we just read. God in the beyond state is absolute, unlimited, and infinite, the one without a second. Meher Baba, while explaining the second state of God, stressed that fundamentally state 2 is in no way different from state 1 of God. The substates A, B, and C of state 2 of God are what create the difference. However, when and where the difference came into being is described as follows from the explanations of Meher Baba. And this is what Kama was just saying. The instant when the latent original infinite whim of the infinite God to know himself, the question, who am I, is about to surge in the unbounded uniformity of the unbounded, absolute, infinite, divine vacuum of the most original beyond state of God, the very prospect of this infinite urge to know, prompting the eternally tranquil poise of God in the unbounded, absolute, infinite, divine vacuum becomes inconceivable. But the fact of the
So you don't have to
insurge
go through this because this is again a very detailed explanation of the thing. So,
of
but
state
I
2,
think,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So what you just read, I think, is enough for the explanation of what you're reading. Yeah. Thanks, Jai Baba.
Thank you. Thanks so much for making that cross reference. Much appreciated. Okay, so let's continue back from Bal Natu. In other words, a perfect one knows that he was and is infinite knowledge, power, bliss, etc. From that, he knows that the original state was the beyond state. Thus, to actually experience the beyond state is impossible even for God in the beyond state. Allah, Paramatma, Ahura Mazda, God Almighty. Baba concluded by saying, all this is an attempt to understand that which is beyond understanding. What is of real worth is to actually become God. Let us pray to God for this.
Jai
I
Baba,
was,
I have a question here. The
sure.
previous paragraph, can you just go up?
Yeah.
Now, I think there is a little bit of a paradox out here. It says, in other words, a perfect one knows that he was, and this infinite knowledge, power, bliss, etc., which is Paramatma. And from that, he knows that the original state was the beyond state, which is the state one of God. Thus, to actually experience the beyond state is impossible even for God in the beyond state. So I find this line a little bit confusing here because what I have understood is that once you have become God realized, you can experience that, you know what it is, but you can't describe it. But here it says it's impossible even for God in the beyond state. So I don't know, is this grammatical mistake or what do you call semantic thing? Can somebody tell me? I mean, what do you guys think? What we have just read, from God speaks, and then what we read here.
Can we read this? In other words, a perfect one knows that he was, and he is infinite knowledge, power, bliss, etc. And from that, he knows that the original state was the beyond state. Thus, to actually experience the beyond state is impossible even for God in the beyond state. So it is experience the beyond state in the beyond state. So you can't experience the original state in the next stage, that is the beyond state. And that is Allah, Paramatma, Sarvamazda, God Almighty. So only thing is the beyond state is the ultimate state, once you reach there, or you have come to that understanding, or say becoming that, so you cannot come back and then explain that state. When you come back with some sort of a vestige of a form and the binding of that. So you can never go back and then tell that. If you are able to do that, then it becomes lesser in the, say, importance or value, or say, what other words we can use. So beyond, that's why this is the state of ease or existence, which is totally unexplainable.
No, I still have a problem here. There is this. Okay, see, here it says he knows that the original state. Then he says to actually experience. What is the difference between knowing and experiencing? Number one question. And number two, we have read that there is no difference between state one of God and state two of God, except that they are aspectless and one is without aspect. And also we know that Baba in God Speaks has said that when we go into deep sleep state, we are actually, experiencing unconsciously the divine absolute vacuum state. So that's my point, Jai Baba.
Yeah, but that's an unconscious experience. So the point, I think the contradiction is real, and we'll have to just stomach it. So what you're saying is there is you have reached a state which is infinite power, knowledge, and bliss. So if I have infinite knowledge, I know even the what it means to be in the beyond state. Okay, so that's infinite knowledge. Now, what is the next aspect? I have infinite power. So shouldn't that allow me to go even to the state of beyond? Baba says no. So it from your perspective, is that a limitation of that infinite power? Yes. So it's a contradiction, but I think Baba has taken pains to explain that that's how it is. So I think we just accept it. But contradiction it is. Does anybody? Yeah.
Now this
experience.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you come cover. To experience something, there has to be two things, right? There is an experience and there is a person who is experiencing. And in that state, there are no two things. So there is no experience there. The first time the experience or the question came was, who am I? So before that, there was nothing. So how will that experience thing can be understood? Like we are in deep sleep, and then we are asked, how do you what did you experience the deep sleep? Can we explain it? It's not possible because we were just in beyond state. So I think it is just like that.
Experience sound sleep state, but you can't describe it.
You cannot describe. You cannot describe how I felt while I was sleeping in sound sleep. You cannot do that. It's just that. I think I take it in that way. Yeah, Jai Baba.
In sound sleep state, you can reach the beyond state, but you're not conscious of it. Because that's mentioned in the Industry of Humanity somewhere. So you can you do reach the beyond state, but you are not conscious of it.
Right.
As a human being.
And I think if you link up both of what Amaji said and Sanjay ji is saying, so the experience needs a subject object or a experiencer, and B, you need consciousness, which is absent in that state, right? So
Yes.
I think it's safe to assume that you cannot do it. That the contradiction remains. So there is a limitation of the infinite power of the beyond state, which is that infinite power does not give you the power to go to beyond state.
Jai Baba, I have another point here. When you read the the transition from the sixth plane to the seventh plane, we know that what we call as the first stage of real fana, which is nirvana, annihilation of the mind, manonash, and then the second stage of real fana is nirvikalpa samadhi. So, what is the difference out here? Nirvana is basically consciousness is, but God is not. Right? That is the definition, that is the description given in God Speaks. So, in a way, the I don't know whether you call that nirvana state as the divine absolute vacuum state where consciousness is, but there is no, it is the only state where God is not. Okay. Then the second stage happens. Without going through nirvana, you can't go through nirvikalpa samadhi because the divine absolute vacuum state is filled with this, the real ego, or this, what you call as Sachitananda, infinite power, knowledge, bliss. I think it's much better described in the supplement, so something to ponder about. Jai Baba.
Yes, where Shunya stops and something else crops. So that's why the philosophy of, say, Buddha, and we say it is one step below. But still, what you are expressing here is a bit difficult to absorb right now. Once again, we'll have to read God Speaks. Anyway, we are doing that.
Doing that, yeah.
Yes.
And again, just as a contextual reminder, we are more. We have never gone into such a deep discussion on this on Saturdays, but it's good, and why not? But yeah, so we will take this up in greater detail as we approach the states of God and explore these concepts in our Sunday readings. Let's continue. But this is where we were, right? Yeah. Baba concluded by saying, all this is an attempt to understand that which is beyond understanding. What is of real worth is to actually become God. Let us pray to God for this.
Yes.
In fact, that applies to all of us as well. Right? So, all this is to understand that which is beyond understanding. What is of real worth is to actually become God. Right? So, let us pray for that and let's continue. I was hesitating to include this discourse in the chapter as it is based on what I gathered from the fragmentary notes taken in 1952. However, it is done with the intention of portraying the way in which Baba, the avatar, chose to demonstrate through simple gestures the theme of creation later expanded in God Speaks. So we saw how Bal Natu has done a fabulous job, right? So if you look at some of those aspects, they match beautifully with the text which we read in the state one and state two of God. By the way, the states of God is written by Erach, based on Ghani's notes. It's not Baba's words. And that's why even in both those states, we saw Meher Baba says twice. Right? So it's written by Erach in the third person, and the rest of God Speaks till that chapter is written by Baba. Right?
No, but it had to be approved. No, look, Cyrus, yes,
Absolutely,
definitely he wrote that, but
absolutely.
it had to be approved. And
Yes,
one more point is, clearly the last paragraph you read, Bal Natu says that these are from fragmentary notes that he had collected and he
correct,
jotted it down. That is
correct.
why I felt that that particular sentence we were discussing had some semantic issues, probably. So maybe he didn't interpret that part. So if probably Baba had read this, maybe he would have made a correction. That's just my assumption. Jai Baba.
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But the contradiction still remains. So if there is infinite power, in state of God, that power has one limitation. And that limitation is your ability to explain or even experience the beyond state. Anyways, yeah, like it is said here, all we need to do is actually become God. Let's not split hairs on the states, but unfortunately, some of us are programmed like this, and we struggle with such things. But with that being said, let's continue. Yeah, God does this for me. Okay, we can also rotate. Anybody wants to read?
Yes, I will
Norm,
try for some time.
please. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. God does this for me. Baba then asked Abdullah to relate an experience he had that morning. Being disabled, he was allowed to repeat the name of God in his room. Abdullah said, Baba, when I was repeating Allahu this morning, I was about to go to sleep, but that very moment, I saw you sitting on my bed, and this prevented a break in the continuous repetition of God's name. Here, Baba referred to an incident similar to Abdullah's concerning Mansari. It so happened that in October 1949, before Baba set out for his new life, he visited Upper Mehrabad. During the few hours that he was there, he conveyed to Mansari, wherever I may go physically, I am definitely here on the hill always. Remember this well. He also gave some staves and told her that he should use them to break the head of anyone who came at night. Mansari replied, when you are here, who dare to come? Baba did not answer, but simply repeated the instruction. 10 months later, Mansari was staying in the outer part of the cage room, reference 67, on Mehrabad Hill. A room partitioned by bamboo poles behind Baba's tomb shrine on Mehrabad Hill, in which Baba was in strict seclusion for some days in 1940. That is the reference 67. Can come back.
Yeah, this is like the cage that Upasani Maharaj used to use, the pinjra, right? So which is no longer there, but it was there in the 40s.
Repeating
For
10
Upasani
months
Maharaj, it
later.
was a pinjra. Here it was a room which had a wall which had, there is a picture of Baba with 3-4 bamboos you see, and then there's Baba's hand coming out.
Oh,
That is the room.
yes.
I think it's just
Correct,
behind
correct.
Samadhi, that building. Yeah.
Correct. Jai Baba.
10 months later, Mansari was staying in the outer part of the cage room on Mehrabad Hill. One day in August 1950, when she was going into her room, she had a strange feeling that someone was inside. After entering, she checked the inner and outer rooms with her small lantern. Finding nothing, she went to bed. About midnight, however, she was disturbed in her sleep by the feeling that something was at the base of her neck, something cold and soft like a piece of rubber. Half awake, she brushed it aside and went back to sleep. A little later, she woke up with the same feeling. She got out of bed thinking that there was a gecko, a small lizard, in her blanket. When she shook it out, something dropped to the floor. She lit the lantern and found that it was a small cobra. Frightened, she went inside and got a short stick from the firewood and started beating the cobra, but the snake eluded her attack and began to climb up her cot. Mansari had totally forgotten about the long sleeves Baba had given her, and with that short stick, her frantic chase continued. At last, she killed the cobra and threw it outside in the grass that had grown around. Exhausted, she lay down on her bed and fell asleep. At about 2 a.m., she woke up to see Baba sitting at the end of her bed. He was intently looking at her throat, but not at her face. She wanted to speak to him, but found that she could not. From then on until 5 a.m., she saw Baba at the foot of her bed each time she woke up. She even rubbed her eyes to make sure that she wasn't dreaming. But Baba's expression and position did not change. In the end, she saw his figure slowly fade away. For the next 11 nights, a strange thing happened. Each night she would come across another cobra of the same size, perhaps the mate of the one that was killed. It seemed to Mansari that the snake was seeking revenge. This frightened her to such an extent that on the 12th day she stood before Baba's picture and sincerely prayed to him, Baba, it is too much for me to bear any longer. Either the cobra should kill me or I should beat it to death. To Mansari's surprise, from that day onwards, the mate did not appear again. Mansari told Baba the entire story in detail after the completion of his life, when he asked her if anything special had happened to her during that time. When she finished, Baba gestured, uh, are you convinced how now that what I told you earlier about my being here always? What could Mansari reply? Her facial expression portrayed that she was more than convinced. After the completion of these two stories, Baba remarked, to tell you the truth, I don't know anything about this. So it follows that God does these things for me. How compassionate is God? When God man becomes a devotee, God has to do these things for him. When God man becomes a devotee, God has to do these things to him. Last Sunday we had something like this, God man becoming a devotee, or the stage of this Baba
New
went
life,
through
yeah.
to explain. Yes, yes. After Mansari's story, Baba informed all that from the 7th until the 9th, none should crowd around him. Instead, he wanted only a few of the mandali near him. Though nearly 300 people were expected to come, Baba wanted ah, Baba wanted a quiet yet lively atmosphere at the meetings. At the time of mass darshan programs, I don't expect this, for then people will make such a great rush, even to the extent of pulling my hair, he added. Baba next fixed the time for reading the Avesta, the Bible, and the other holy books on the 5th of November. He also asked the 5 priests to collect the necessary things for the occasion. Let us represent properly, was Baba's remark. This remark is for what I am not able to understand. Okay.
Karthik,
Baba next.
I send you.
Yeah, I'm
I
trying
send
to
you the
bring that
picture
up.
of the page. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring that up. Just 1 second. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm, 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 mm. Yeah. 1 second. No, no, no.
Should we also be able to project, right?
Here it is. That's the cage room.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this was physically behind the tomb shrine.
Yeah.
So it's this physically behind the Samadhi as it stands today, but obviously no longer there. Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, Babu.
Jai Baba.
The previous paragraph I am unable to link. Anyway, we'll have to think about that. Baba next fixed the time for reading the Avesta, the Bible, and other holy books on the 5th of November. He also asked the 5 priests to collect the necessary things for the occasion. Let us represent properly was Baba's remark. Okay. Baba tells a story. In the course of casual conversation, Baba referred to some lines from Tulsidas, a well-known saint and poet of the northern India. When freely translated, these mean, if one regards all treasures belonging to others as stone, and if one treats all women except one's wife as one's mother, then Tulsidas stands guarantee that such a life will lead one to God. If one regards all treasures belonging to others as stone, and if one treats all women except one's wife as one's mother, then Tulsidas stands guarantee that such a life will lead one to God. And the expression on Baba's face conveyed that one's way to God can be as simple or as difficult as that, just to be vigilant to stay away from the vitiating thoughts of lust and greed. How nice it would be to lead a life of continence with minimal needs in the loving remembrance of Baba, the only true guide. Can you just go up? Some records were then played on a gramophone. Baba especially liked the ghazal, Bedi Bhed Na Khulne Paye Sar Jaye To Jaye, meaning, O holder of the secret, even if you were to be beheaded, do not reveal it. O holder of the secret, even if you were to be beheaded, do not reveal it. At the end of this song, Baba conveyed, knowledge can be talked about, but to know is an entirely different order of experience. Knowledge can be talked about, but to know is an entirely different order of experience. Hey, the secret knowledge of love is not connected with intellect. Instead, it is closely related to feelings, and if indiscreetly disclosed, creates chaos. To illustrate how faith is intimately linked with emotion, Baba told an interesting story of a Pathan and a Marwadi, which showed how uttering certain words could lead to an outburst of feeling capable of transforming a man's relationship. The story concerned a stout, sturdy Pathan and a weak, scrawny Marwari who were not on good terms. The Marwari really hated the Pathan but was unable, owing to his size, to give him the beating he so desired. But one day, seeing the Pathan approaching from quite a far off, he gathered up some of his friends near him and said, "Friends, this Pathan is a very treacherous fellow. Though I behave very politely with him, he treats me very rudely. Now I will prove this to you, and I hope you will help me teach him a good lesson." By this time, the Pathan had come near. The Marwali, which with a smiling face shook hands with him and embraced him, but as he did so, he whispered in his ear, "You are a son of a swine." These words were enough to arouse the feeling of the Pathan and make him fly into a rage and begin to beat the Marwadi. Whereupon his friends, not knowing the real reason for the Pathan's anger, assumed that everything the Marwadi had told them about the Pathan was true, and they in turn became incensed and fell upon the Pathan and gave him a good beating. In this way, the outer believed the inner, and the result was deplorable. In this way, the outer believed the inner, and the result was deplorable. So, hope we understand the story here. It was a delightful sight to see Baba relating stories interspersed with his radiant facial expressions and lively gestures, the fond smile of Marwadi, the angry frown of the Pathan, and the beating hands of the Marwadi's friends. Baba was indeed a master storyteller. It was evening and Baba left for Mehrazad. What's your aim in life? I think somebody can take over.
Okay.
I
Anybody
can,
wants to
I
read?
can read it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please
yeah.
continue. Thank you, Mamaji.
What's your aim in life? Each day after Baba's departure, the visitors will share Baba stories among themselves. My comradeship with Nana Kher began with these November meetings. It continued all through the 60s when we were often together at Guru Prasad during Baba's summer stay in Pune. After beloved Baba's dropping of the body, Nana came to stay permanently at Mehrabad, and for the past few years, I have been residing at Mehrazad. Here, as an aside, I wish to narrow how Nana came to Baba, as this will also illustrate the way in which visitors spent their time in sharing Baba stories. Nana Kher first heard of Mehr Baba from Dr. Deshmukh in the early 1940s. He felt inwardly drawn to Baba and wished to have his darshan. He wrote a letter to beloved Baba, but it remained unanswered as Baba was visiting different parts of India for his work with the mosques. In the meantime, Nana completed his education and by chance got a job as a clerk in Pune. As Pune is close to Ahmednagar, he thought he might have an early opportunity of seeing Baba. While in Pune, Nana met Erach and the Jesawala family, whose company were of great importance and significance to him. From Pune, he again wrote to Baba, and this time he received a much awaited reply. Adi wrote, "Baba knows everything about you. You should not worry about anything. You will see Baba at the opportune time." This filled Nana with a rare delight. In 1945, at the time of Erach's marriage, Nana had at last had the opportunity of seeing Baba in Ahmednagar. Erach introduced Nana to Baba, and Baba made him sit on a chair nearby, a significant gesture of close contact. Baba casually inquired about Nana's journey, work, and health. At the close of the interview, Baba asked, "What is your aim in life?" Nana had just finished reading and studying the discourses and spontaneously replied, spiritual freedom. This pleased Baba. In the course of conversation, Nana told Baba that his parents were pressing him to get married. Baba, with twinkle in his eyes, gestured, where is the hurry about it? Wait for about 2 years, and then I will let you what to do." Baba then gave Nana some personal instruction that helped him to maintain an inner link with him over the next few years of separation. Around this time, a special circular was issued about the possibility of staying with Baba for 1 month. Nana felt that he might not be able to get a long enough leave to attend this program, which he felt would amount to an irreparable spiritual loss.
Irreparable, yeah. Irreparable
Oh,
spiritual
sorry.
loss.
Yeah, yeah, irreparable spiritual loss. He was so alarmed by this thought that he left his job and went to Nagpur to start a business of his own so that he could visit Baba at any time. But as it turned out, Baba did not call anyone to stay with him. However, in April 1947, he visited Madras and held an open darshan program. One of the conditions of attending this program was that the visitors could have Baba's darshan and personal contact only once, after which they had to leave. Three Baba lovers from Nagpur, Kapse, Nanakher, and Pankharaj, duly reached Madras and arrived at Meher Bhavan in Saidapet. Because of the condition of having darshan only once, the three did not join the line of those waiting to see Baba, but instead continued to feast their eyes on Baba's graceful, radiant figure by looking at him through the windows of the room where Baba was sitting on a special adorned seat. Soon, the morning program was over without the three having ever entered the darshan room. Later, when Baba was resting in his room, he sent a message to the three to present themselves before him. When they were ushered into Baba's presence, he joked with them about their method of observing his order. He asked each one if he had anything special to ask him. Since the period of 2 years was over, and since his parents were pressing him to marry, Nana opened the topic with Baba. Baba conveyed, "If you wish to get married, I give you my permission and blessings." Nana explained that it was not a question about his wanting to get married. His only interest in the matter was to do as Baba wished. Hearing this, Baba asked if he was in love with anyone or if anyone was in love with him. Nana's reply was, "No, Baba." Then Baba asked him to confess if he had touched any girl with a lustful intention. Nana again answered, "No, Baba." These replies pleased Baba very much. He gestured, "Then why don't you marry me?" Nana, not knowing how to respond, mumbled, "Yes, Baba, that is best." At the close of the interview, the group feared the Baba would ask them to leave for Nagpur at once, but he graciously permitted them to attend all the programs during the darshan days in Madras, and they felt overjoyed.
Okay, I think we will stop this point. Oh, yeah, maybe we can read a little more. I just looked at the time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ransacked a good bank. Baba's earlier plan of holding a meeting of 1 month in February 1946 had been cancelled. However, in his message for spiritual workers, Baba assured them that he would give certain instructions which would help them to lead a life of love and truth. Nana, having resolved to totally surrender to Baba, sought an opportunity to ask Baba if he could if he could volunteer as one of Baba's workers. In December 1947, he visited Ahmednagar and through Adi conveyed his intention to Baba. Though in partial seclusion, Baba asked Adi to bring Nana with him to Merazat. Baba asked him, "Why have you come?" Nana explained that he had come in response to Baba's circular to receive instructions from him. Baba looked happy. The first and foremost condition to his worker, Baba explained, was to obey him implicitly. Nana said that he was willingly to do this. Baba continued, will you do whatever I ask to do? Nana answered, yes, Baba. Will you cut the throat of your father as soon as you go to home, if I ask you to? Nana unhesitatingly replied, yes, Baba. With a smile on his face, Baba continued, leave that aside. But can you give me 40 lakh? Yeah, 40 lakh rupees within 2 months? Nana again replied, yes, Baba. How? Baba countered. Nana told him that he would go from door to door and do his best to collect the required money. Baba interjected. You won't be successful if you follow that method. But if you ransack a good bank, you can come off well. You can give me money and then go off a prison for a number of years. Are you prepared for this? Nana, with devout obedience, responded, surely. Go and do it then, Baba gestured. At this, Nana turned and began to walk away. Just then, Baba called him back and expressed his happiness over Nana's readiness to follow his command and added that he neither wanted money nor the life of Nana's father. Time and again, Baba has brought to the notice of his close ones that what he really wants from them is their lives in complete surrender to him and nothing else. Baba
Jai
continued.
Baba, one interjection. This is a very important point. The last line, time and again, Baba is brought to the notice of his close ones that what he really wants from them is their lives in complete surrender to him and nothing else. I mean, it's a very important statement because he doesn't talk about love here. He's talking about complete surrender. And I would like to again reiterate that passage, that essay in Everything and Nothing called Gifts of Love. I try to read that every time, and it's part of my seven awakenings, where we know that first is love, more than love is obedience, more than obedience is surrender, and more than surrender is sacrifice. I think it's a great example of a real time case study of a spiritual aspirant or a disciple of Baba like Nana Kher, where Baba is telling him to cut his father's throat, and then he tells him to go rob a bank. And in some other instances I've read, where he tells you to go naked. So he's testing to see whether you're really doing complete surrender or not. Jai Baba.
Absolutely.
This
Baba
the
continued.
say this sort of compares for us that we have certain value systems in life, and when somebody asks us to do certain things which is against that, which we think is the proper way of leading a life, and if it is God Himself who is trying to test you, He tests in so many different ways. So whether you put God in front of you, primed to any other value systems you have followed or you would like to follow. So that's a learning here, Jai Baba.
To extrapolate what doctor just said, I think for me the essence of this is no mind state, because
Oh,
only when you have a mind, then
Yeah.
you're going to question whether Baba is telling me, even if you have the grace of a guru. So this is the real test, whether you have complete surrender to a living guru's presence and what he tells you. Jai Baba.
yes, yes,
Yeah, we started with the same message and we are ending probably with the same message. The half is saying, yeah, yeah, Baba.
yes,
Beautiful.
yes.
Yeah. We just have a
We
page
didn't finish this.
before the chapter, so let's just finish it. Yeah. Start from here and just one more page. Tish.
Yes. Baba continued, if you want to dedicate yourself to my cause, you must be free from personal liability. Nana brought up the problem of disposing of the shop that he owned. Baba permitted him to transfer ownership into the name of his mother. He then asked Nana to visit Ahmednagar again on an appointed day. He was told to walk the distance from Nagpur to Ahmednagar barefoot and beg for his food. He was to carry no extra clothing, only the shirt and pants he had on. Baba also told him that without hurting the feelings of his parents, he had to tell them that he was going to stay with Baba permanently. On his return to Nagpur, it was hard for Nana to convince his old and loving parents to permit him to walk barefooted. He requested Baba to withdraw this order and also the order of begging for food. Baba agreed. Then there was a change in Baba's plans. He soon commenced the new life phase, and Nana's hopes of meeting him and leading a life under his guidance seemed to have ended. But then, after a year and a half, Baba called him for a 2 week stay at Mehrabad in November 1952 and then asked him to accompany him on his fairy free life tour. Though the sharing of such stories, our evenings were spent happily in Baba's loving remembrance. As the day passed, the momentum for the fairy free life was building. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. So, by the way, we have
Jai
someone
Baba.
uh, new to the group, not new to the group, but welcome, Bhushan. Nice to see you. By the way, anybody can tell me what's the distance from Nagpur to Amravati? Because that's the distance Nana was asked to walk. It should be 300
Nagpur
plus,
to
right?
Uh,
Nagpur to Amravati. You are talking Nagpur to Ahmednagar, right?
Ahmednagar, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Ahmednagar, about 600
It should be
kilometers, I think.
600.
600.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's far. Overnight bus journey. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Before we conclude, could you clip this
Jai Baba.
Nana story and send it to me separately, Karthik, please?
Sure. Sure.
I
This,
have a friend who is related to
okay.
Nana Kher's family. So I would like to
Okay.
just share with them if it is not too inconvenient for you. Jai
Yeah,
Baba.
yeah, yeah. Of course. Sure. I will do that. Sure. Okay.
Jai Baba.
Sure. Yeah,
Jai
go
Baba,
ahead.
can I say something? Yeah.
Of
So
course. Of course.
I just want to say a line of gratitude related to the distance. We are so privileged that the distance between Baba and us is like getting smaller and smaller. He is becoming us as we go along in this journey. And we have been so privileged to be able to relive those days and get knowledge and inspiration and submission from him.
Yes, yes.
So this has been such an incredible journey. All of us have learned so much, and all this grace goes to Baba and his presence, his direction, his love, and he's showing us the mirror that what we see in the mirror is not us, is just him. And it's been so incredible. Thank you to each and every one of you who are Baba Drop Souls brothers, except my husband, who have been walking this beautiful journey with me. Jai Baba.
Jai
That's
Baba.
all.
Jai.
Jai Baba, thank you, Nomita, for being the Director of Investor Relations, Public Relations for the MBA Group. You have a Chairman Emeritus for that. Okay.
Jai Baba. You've been such a good professor, and we have so well evolved. I mean, it's so incredible, Mamaji's wisdom, Karthik's consistency in getting this class done, um, Ashokji's beautiful love and baby-like surrender to Baba, Sanjayji's wisdom, my husband's PowerPoints, and I don't know others. I'm sorry, I I missed,
You
but
forgot
we
yourself. You forgot yourself, Namita. Jai
because
Baba.
I don't exist. The only one who exists is Baba, and the great Baba in us who has given us so much abundance
Yes.
to enjoy his bounty, and in this privileged life, in this life. We've been so very privileged. This is the best time of the week, when I look forward to reading about Baba, keeping some words in my, and you know, you are changing with every word, with every sentence. Something sticks to you, and you look at yourself from a different perspective, from a different way, and that's so beautiful. Thank you very much for this journey. It's been incredible. Jai Baba.
Well said. No? We look at ourselves from a different angle, a different perspective. And Karthik, if you can also share that anecdote about Nana Kher, because Mohan Kher, uh, his nephew, is the one who brought me to Baba.
Oh,
Oh,
So I
okay.
that's
stay
good.
with him, and he will be. It should interest him, or it should at least be of interest to him, and he'll.
Done.
Yeah, today's
Done.
reading was very great. I kept quiet because I was listening, but it was very nice. And of course the cross references which Dr. Kama did of God speaks with what we are reading. Uh, I mean, it's really, we learn every day, every moment in this group, and whether I am in wherever I am, whether I'm in the home or hospital, I look forward to these readings.
Yeah, Baba. We
Hey,
have
Baba.
guests. They saw me on this call and they think I'm doing MBA. So they said, "Is this a Indian program or international?" I said, "It is universal program."
Yeah.
They
Very
said,
nice. Very
what is the
nice.
duration? They said, "What is the duration?" I said, "It's been going on for 4 years." So he said, "It must be expensive." I said, "No, it's costing us nothing and it's giving us a lot." Jai Baba. Have a
So I
good day.
think I just have to say one thing. I
Yeah.
have to thank you, Norm, for always being the one that pulls us back to reality, pulls us back to what Baba wants us to do and wants us to truly believe in, right? Which is the journey from the mind to the heart. And every time you intervene, it's always Baba intervening and pulling us back. That's the way I see it. So thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
around.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Yes, yes.
my biggest gain has been that I don't think of myself as me. And I'm not asking, make me moksha, give me this. I'm complete in my surrender. I don't want anything. As long as he's with me, he's in my thought, and I'm able to be with him. It could be another 700 janams, or it could be 7 minutes from now. I'm ready. That has been my takeaway, or something that I have moved on to. So that's things don't hold a lot of meaning. It's his grace on me. I don't underestimate the bounties he has given me, but at the same time, things are not what matters. What matters is Baba-ness, the fullness of love, kindness, and joy that we feel. That is Baba. When I feel hurt, when you are hurt, I know this is Baba. So that's where it is. Thank you very much. Have a good day. My
So
sermon is
Thank you
over.
so much.
Nomita ji, you are moving from duality, or the material world, to reality.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Ashokji. So Jai
Have a
Baba.
good
Thank you.
have a good Saturday, Nomita.
Jai
I'll come home
Baba.
for lunch.
Jai Baba, everyone.
Jai
Yes.
Jai
Baba.
Baba, Jai
Yes.
Baba.
Bye
Jai
bye
Baba.
bye.
Jai
Jai
Baba.
Baba, Jai Baba, everybody.
Jai Baba.